So it has been a while since I've recorded on this channel, and I woke up and it was a cloudy day, and it's been sounding like it's going to rain soon. So I thought, why not do a video and then get on to the other things that I have to get done today? So, yeah, today's topic is the hypocrisy of the free speech movement. It's not quite that, but similar. So, if you've been around YouTube, you might have heard about the whole quartering versus Kino Casino thing. Now, I have never watched Kino Casino. And as far as the quartering is concerned, I've watched a few videos many years ago, but I've never gotten into them and I've never really liked him. And I've always found him to be a milquetoast, which to me is always a sign of something not very good, right? So I'm not surprised that this whole situation is happening. But then again, I usually am never surprised because my attitude about the internet is that anyone that comes into the internet, anyone that comes into the internet is possibly a bad person. That's just kind of how I roll. So it's not necessarily a surprise to me that this is happening. And of course, you know, false flagging on YouTube is not a new thing. So what are we even doing? I just, because it was something that I found interesting, I thought, why not just talk a little bit about it? And so what kind of got to me was the hypocrisy of it all. So what I mean is you have these people, they come online, they're talking about free speech. Everyone should have a right to say whatever they want. And, they present themselves as being anti-woke, anti-progressivism, anti-tyranny, whatever. And then the real them starts to come out and other people start to talk about it. Because let's be honest, this is the internet. If you put yourself out there, there's going to be somebody that's not going to like you. And there's going to be somebody that's going to want to talk about you. And because that's the case, the idea that you should be sensitive about it is kind of insane. So it's hypocrisy, right? And I know their main excuse is always, oh, well, they went against my family. They went against, people that I know. And then you start doing a little digging. Now, of course, I'm coming from watching locals. So I would put RTU in this category, even though I don't watch him, but I've seen where he's done the same kind of behavior. And most definitely DSP, where it is just always, like for a while, every year, there were detractor channels that just kind of went down because they all of a sudden got these strikes. But then DSP doesn't really purport himself as someone who is for free speech, except for himself. And I guess that's where the hypocrisy comes from, right? These are people who, they say everyone should be able to say what they want to say. And then when you get into it, what they really mean is everyone, well, no one should be able to say anything except for them. I almost said it the opposite way. And that's kind of become the thing. And so, like when I think about it, this internet has really kind of turned people into sensitive babies. Because the point I was trying to make before, with DSP and RTU and that type kind of stuff, is they put themselves online. And they don't just put themselves online. They talk about their families. They talk about their children. They talk about the people around them. And then they get mad when people point it out. Foodie Beauty is also good for this. Amberlyn Reed, also good for this. You talk about things. You show your life. You complain. You go in and you give people every bit of ammunition that they need to tell the truth about you. And then you get angry. And that's really kind of where the hypocrisy lays, right? Because the things that are being said are often the truth. And because the truth makes these people look bad, well, then you have to get rid of it. And then you want a false flag, which is kind of a problem because it doesn't make the criticism go away. And all that happens is it draws the attention of regular people who likely wouldn't have noticed, because then they're going to want to wonder what happened. Why did this channel suddenly come down? And, because what happens is other creators come in and they start looking and they go, well, wow, what happened here? And so it's never worked out for the person who false flags on YouTube. I mean, maybe for a little bit, but like I said, I'm looking at, locales, and for DSP, it's never worked out for him, the false flagging thing. And yet they continue to do it. And it's made YouTube even more of a toxic cesspool than it's ever been. And I found that fascinating. And so, yeah, that's really kind of my thoughts about it. I mean, because opinion wise, let's be honest, I think it's foolish to false flag people, especially over opinion, especially because they said something. Like, if we're going to sit there and say that everyone has a right to free speech, then that should be what it is. Everyone has a right to free speech. So what, someone said something about your family member, it's words. It's not like they showed up to your house. It's not like they broke into your place. It's not like they did actual damage to you. Like, they just spoke words. And, when you put yourself online, what do you think is going to happen? Now, things like doxing, yeah, that's a different thing. If you had your information private and all of a sudden your private information is getting out there, well, then, yeah, there are avenues that you can use to, to protect yourself. But the idea of coming out and saying, I'm for free speech, and then you strike people for using free speech because it's against you, it's the lowest of the low. It makes you the lowest of the low. And then it makes you a hypocrite, because of course you're a hypocrite, because you never believed the message that you were saying in the first place. And I, for one, am tired of that. Like, I'm tired of these hypocrites coming in and they can't be consistent. And, worse is that a lot of them, you reach this level of success. And yeah, like, I'm going to use that term loosely, because having a lot of money isn't necessarily success, because look at how much begging that the quartering has been doing. Look how much begging DSP has been doing. So yeah, I would hardly call any of the people that I've mentioned a success. But, they would call themselves a success, even as they beg you for money and attention, right? But the point is, at the end of the day, is any of it worth it? Is you being a hypocrite worth it? Coming out, saying you're for one thing, and then being found out to be the exact opposite. Because I, for one, don't think that it's worth it. I I value being consistent. My thing is this. Yeah, lots of people have said things about me that I don't like, but it's their right to say it, because I'm going to say stuff back. And that's just how it goes. Now, if I, if I talk about family members, if I talk about stories that involve people in my life, and then people turn around and use that against me, well, then my best option is to stop talking about it. Let me not talk about my family. Let me not talk about children. Let me not talk about the people in my life. And then how can they use it against me? Because if they have to go into my real life, to find this kind of stuff, well, then, yeah, that's a different sort of problem. But that's not what we're talking about. So, yeah, I just, I found it interesting. And yeah, I mean, it's not like I'm so into it that I'm going to do a bunch of research and, suddenly become a drama channel, because I can't be bothered. But just the hypocrisy was such that I needed to say something about it. because it's ridiculous. And I'm tired of it. And it erodes the actual movement. Like how can you, how can you, let me not do that because it's a half formed thought and I don't want to have to keep going. So anyway, yeah, I just wanted to say that it's ridiculous. This whole false flagging thing is ridiculous. Let's not make YouTube any more ridiculous than it's already been, because it's just not going to turn out well for the people who are turning this place into a garbage place. And with that, I'm going to finish. Uh, there's one more thing that I kind of want to talk about, but that's going to be brief. Otherwise, like, share, subscribe, comment, all of that. And I will see you on the next video. Bye.